When you think about success in retirement, leaving a lasting legacy to your heirs, it starts by building a wall around your wealth, protecting it from worst case scenarios, leaving your wealth in a way that is to your wishes and that can bless the family or causes you believe in long term. Today, I want to talk to you about the biggest mistakes that families make when it comes to their estate planning. Keep it right here. Good day, everybody. Chris Heerlein here of REAP Financial, host of Retire Ready TV. Each week on KXAN right here in Austin and host of Wealth Radio every Saturday, 11 a.m. on News Radio KLBJ. Hit the subscribe button. I drop new content here every single month, and be sure to hit the bell for notifications. Also, visit reapwebinar.com for one of our upcoming Tax Freedom Summit webinars and more. That's reapwebinar.com. Now, today what I want to talk to you about is one of the biggest pitfalls I see when it comes to people building a wall around their wealth. And it all has to do with mistakes made in the estate planning process. So as we dive in here, let's be honest. Thinking through your final wishes, end of life, that's not real fun. And this is one of the main reasons that people put off drafting wills, building their estate plan in a way that is going to support the family and their wealth. And so one of the biggest misconceptions as we kick off here is understanding that a will is not enough by itself. Generally, families feel like, hey, I'll just draft a quick will, tell the family what I want to leave to whom, and that should be it. But it gets a lot more complicated when assets are being left. And I want you to think about what your net worth is today and what it likely will be in 10, 20, 30 years. It could be much more sizable and much more complex. But all that to say, a will is a great starting point. This is where you can draft your wishes, put it into a formal document, but you need to understand that this will have to be probated. It's going to have to go through the court system before assets are divided. There's a lack of privacy when it comes to the probate process, and it can be very taxing for your executor, your trustee. When attorneys get involved, courts get involved. So you need to be thinking through how important that is to you. But when you think about a will alone, it's not going to support you when it comes to your medical directives, your financial directives. If in the event you were incapacitated, God forbid, what and how is your spouse going to do with your accounts? How are they going to manage them? Because in so many cases we've seen, unless you have a financial power of attorney for your spouse, for you, your spouse cannot really do much in making decisions around your finances. Also, in the event that you had a health concern, you were incapacitated, are they able to make decisions on your behalf? Without a medical power of attorney, without advanced directives, without a financial power of attorney, these things are not easily done and they can hold things up. We've had cases where families, maybe a spouse lost her husband. She comes in and she needs to access the accounts, and we're unable to do that in some cases because one, the account wasn't set up correctly and there's no power of attorneys involved. So getting power of attorneys involved for you and your spouse, both medical and financial, is critical. And as well, that conveys to your children in the event that they need to make decisions on your behalf long term. Also consider a living trust. When you think about wills, power of attorneys, advanced directives, that's a great start. But as your estate grows in value, as it gets more complex, if you've got a blended family, maybe you were once divorced and now you've got a new spouse. Maybe there's children in the family that have divorced spouses, or that's a concern of yours. When you think about how the money's going to be left, this is where a living trust can really bring a lot of security and certainty to your estate plan. With a living trust, it's tied to your social security number. So it's not an irrevocable trust. It's a revocable living trust that can be changed as things need to change over the years. And so you and your spouse can essentially put things in place. And then as the family grows, as things change, relationships, whatever, that can be amended and adjusted throughout the years. But the reason we really like a living trust is it gives you control of the money when you're 6 feet under, when you're gone someday. And it legally has to be left in the way it's drafted in the trust. It cannot be contested. In a will, people can come out of the woodwork. If you have a will alone, people can come out and say, no, 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 mom and dad said I was supposed to get that. Creditors can come out of the woodwork, go after assets as well, in which you've got a living trust, assets that are left to the living trust or titled in the living trust in many cases go completely around probate altogether. That's powerful, right? Because now the trustee can immediately begin distributing assets per your wishes. Also, from a privacy standpoint, that is very important to many of our successful families. They don't want things going through probate, open to the public, their net worth, everything else. So the living trust gives you privacy, it gives you a layer of control, and it's very easy to amend and adjust things as things are adjusting in life. So a lot of times families think, well, I don't have enough net worth to justify a living trust. And it's not necessarily just a net worth issue. It's really more of how complex your family situation is, how much wealth you have, how you plan to leave it. Is it just going to the kids? Is it going to one or multiple charities? Is it going to a foundation? And you need to think through who you're going to appoint as your trustee in this case. In a lot of cases, it may be a fiduciary financial advisor, it may be your estate attorney, it may be an outside attorney, or it could be a friend, family member in many cases. So you can even add, dual trustees if you want both kids to have a say in things. So again, be thinking about the control that you want. And most importantly, this is probably one of the biggest pitfalls we see, is that people do not have the conversations with their heirs. So if you're planning on leaving money to your kids someday, it's going to be really important that at some point, once all of this is put together, drafted, you've got that wall built around your wealth, you inform the kids. You don't have to get into the specifics, but you inform them of the responsibility that comes someday when you leave wealth to them. And some families get really specific about their wishes. Some families go through the trust line item by line item. Others are more vague, and that's fine depending on your comfort level, your family dynamic, obviously. But all this to say, having these conversations today can really protect the family tomorrow. A lot of times when money gets involved, I don't care how close the family is, when money gets involved, things can get hairy. So having these conversations, not only with your kids, but also with your spouse. A lot of times families may put this type of thing off because they don't want to have these tough conversations on how much money they want to leave to the son or the daughter. Do you leave some immediately and then pay it out over time? There's just so many dynamics that a lot of times we put these conversations out of the way. But again, getting aligned with your spouse on the same page financially, getting the family aligned on what you want your legacy to be and how you want it left can be so powerful. Think about all the hard work you put in to build your wealth and your success in retirement. You owe it to yourself to ensure that your estate plan is in order, updated every 3 to 5 years as tax laws change, and more. All right, so click here to watch this next video on ways to navigate the complexities of your estate planning.